Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round one of
Your worst nightmare.
Your worst nightmare.
Your
Here's
worst
how it works.
nightmare.
Yep, that's what it is. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is written a nightmare. We'll pick 4 cards, and Ryan will have to place them in the correct order according to what he thinks my worst nightmare is. Then we'll turn it around, and it'll be my turn. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy.
Of gloating rights.
We play.
Until we play again.
One day, you will just say it. Okay.
Hilarious.
Real quick before we dive in, if you like this kind of thing, stay tuned for listener responses after we play the rounds here. Ryan, are you ready for your cards?
I'm ready for my cards.
All right, the first 4 cards. The Woods, Missing a Deadline, Artificial Intelligence, The Devil.
Ooh.
What are you thinking here?
All right, hold on. I'm going to... Okay, I've got my list. In
Excellent.
what order?
Oh,
Right.
you just boom, boom, boom. You don't even want to talk about it. You just want to spit them out.
Oh, well, what's there to
We'll talk about it after. No,
Okay,
you're right.
yeah.
Let's talk about
All
it
right.
after. Otherwise, I'll give it all away
All right,
in
so
conversation.
here is least worst to worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
All right, The Devil being the least worst.
Correct.
The Woods, Missing a Deadline,
Mm-hmm.
and Artificial Intelligence.
You got the 4th and 1st place ones correct. My worst nightmare on this list is artificial intelligence.
I knew
but
that.
I had The Woods 2nd and Missing a Deadline 3rd. Because here's the thing. Do I like missing a deadline? No, and I have an awful feeling if I miss a deadline.
Mhm.
But it's not, like, terrifying to me. Do you know, it doesn't produce anxiety as much as just shame,
Right.
I guess. So, The Devil, I think we both know,
Doesn't exist.
doesn't exist. So, not really that big of a worry for me. And some people, okay, look, we're not trying to step on anyone else's belief, but we just
Right.
don't happen to believe in the devil. So
Right.
for me, that's not a
Correct.
nightmare.
Yes. No disrespect.
The woods during the day are nice. That's great. Let's go on a hike.
Did I tell
night.
you about my hike?
No, tell me about your hike.
So I did this hike. It's a 7-mile loop, and it's like on a cliffside in the woods, right next to the Columbia River Gorge. And I got there at like 3 p.m. and it's supposed to get dark by like 6, right? And I'm like, I could do 7 miles in 4 hours or 3 hours, no problem. So I go on this hike and it's like uphill for a couple miles, and then you loop around, and then you're going downhill. And then by the time I got to the second leg of the hike, so the first leg is like all like safe and sound and whatnot. By the second leg, I get to this windy path that goes down, but by this time it had gotten like pitch black, but I was already in too deep. Like I was already halfway through this thing. I had to muscle through and get through, right? So it's dark, it's woodsy, I can't see, narrow path, windy back and forth path, right? I got my cell phone little flashlight, like trying to see, and it's super rocky, all right? Super rocky. And like my phone's dying, so I was like, well, I better stop using the flashlight. Otherwise, if something happens to me, at least I can still make a call. So I turn off the flashlight and I finally make my way. And I had to have hiked at least 3.5 miles in the pitch black in the middle of the woods. And I finally make it out onto this road, and I'm able to hike back to the parking lot and get in my car and leave, right? So I was like, okay, that was cool. I'm going to have to try that again earlier in the day. So I went back the following day to do the hike again. And that second leg, I was literally right next to a freaking cliff. A cliff down to a rocky death on the Columbia River.
Guardrails?
No guardrails, no protection, nothing. It was so dark, I could not even see that there was, there's like trees and stuff right there, so it looked like the woods continue, but it was like feet away from the edge of a cliff. Like if I had tripped over a rock, I probably would have tumbled and fallen to my death.
And then no one would have been able to find you.
No one would have been able to find me until the water rose and washed my body downriver. And then I appeared out in the ocean somewhere, and some fishermen picked me up in their net like months later.
That's creepy.
Yes. And I was more worried about cougars killing me that night than I was about falling off a cliff, because I was not aware of the cliff.
But the cougars are huge. Have you ever seen IRL, a cougar? Like, have you encountered one?
Like only in the zoo.
Oh, they're massive.
Yeah, they're big
massive.
cats. And they attack you from behind.
The most exciting thing that happened to me on a hike was I jumped off of a high log, and there was this old discarded wooden board with a big rusty nail sticking out that I hadn't seen until my feet were about to land, and my foot stepped on it.
Oof.
And the nail went straight up right between two of my toes.
Oh, it missed your foot?
It missed my foot. It went between my toes, and I went, because I thought, I'm going to have to hike like 4 miles back home,
Oof.
probably with lockjaw. I was ready to die.
Yeah, lockjaw right away.
Instantaneous lockjaw. I was young at the time. Anyway, disaster averted.
Very nice.
Was I going to say something else about this? Oh, yes. So just one more thing on this. Artificial intelligence is... How about this? Artificial intelligence is the devil.
Ooh.
Fight me.
Ooh. But, oh, no, what am I doing? I'm trying to shift tab to find my cards. Alt tab? What am I doing? Command tab. Command tab? There it is. Okay. Yes, I already knew that AI was number 1 on your list. I knew that for sure. And the devil for sure. But I figured you'd be less afraid of the woods than you were of a deadline, but whatever. I got 2 points.
Apparently I'm more afraid of the woods.
Apparently
at
so.
Night. At night in the dark, if I'm by myself.
Right.
That would be absolutely terrifying. I would be scared out of my mind. I'm not even going to try to be an adult about that. It would be creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I was on a paved path that I was used to walking.
Sure.
Because we did used to live out, used to have to walk through some woods to get home at night.
Yeah.
And, okay, in fairness, there was a lighted path, so whatever. What am I talking about? It wasn't that creepy. It wasn't that creepy.
Somewhat lighted. It was very dimly lit. I had to run light to light so that ghosts, ghouls, and cougars and coyotes would not kill me.
Yeah, and don't forget the raccoons. It's really creepy when you encounter a raccoon suddenly, and it's clinging to a tree, looking at you in stark terror, but you're also terrified, and then you just stare at each other, and it's a stare down with a raccoon.
Our backyard, there is a neighbor's rundown shed in their backyard, which overlooks our backyard. And there is a family of raccoons that live in there. And they are adorable, and I love seeing them because they come into our backyard all the time. But there was one night I was out there and it was dark and I couldn't see like past the fence. So we have our area lit up, and then all of a sudden this little I could see this silhouette of a head pop up behind the fence with these glowing beady eyes, and my heart freaking started racing. I was like, oh my God, there's an alien right there, because it looks like a little alien head. And then another head pops up with the glowing eyes, and I'm like, oh God, I'm about to get abducted. And oh God, Heather, I was freaking out so bad. I had to go get my flashlight and like shine it over there to see what was going on, and it was the raccoons. I was like, oh, thank God it's just the raccoons. It was so creepy.
If it makes you feel any better, if it had been an alien abduction, you would have no memory of it now.
That is true.
Yeah.
Or
They
maybe it
wiped that.
was an alien abduction and they just made me think it was raccoons.
Did you look at your watch and you're like, where'd the last 2 hours go? Did that? All right.
All right. Are you ready for my cards, Heather?
Yes, hit me with the first cards.
All right, here we go. Getting arrested, getting stuck in an elevator, wolves, and holes.
Here's what I'm thinking. I feel like getting arrested is the top of the list. Number one. I went back. I'm going in the wrong order. I should have gone lowest to highest. Sorry.
I hate you, but hold on. Okay.
You don't have to tell me till after. And because I feel like that would be problematic for your career.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I'm going to go wolves.
Okay.
Because they can kill you.
Sure.
Third, holes, because I was trying to figure out how somebody might have holes as a terror. I guess maybe falling in one and not being able to get out.
Sure.
Or falling in one that never stops.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, third, and then fourth, I put getting stuck in elevators.
I have bad
Simply
news
because
for you. You're completely wrong on that.
All of them?
Yes.
Every single one I got wrong.
Holes is my least fear. So going lowest to highest. Holes, getting stuck in elevators, getting arrested, and wolves. I would rather be arrested than be surrounded by wolves or even see a wolf in the wild.
I just realized that wolves are death and getting arrested means job loss. I mean, you know.
I could get arrested and not lose my job. I will miss some days, depending on what I got arrested for. If I got like a murder charge, okay, I might lose my job because I'll probably be in prison for a while. But if I got like a DUI, which I wouldn't, but if I did, I would be in jail for a few days. My one phone call would be like, hey, I'm in jail. And they'd be like, cool, we'll see you in a few days. And I'd be like, cool. And that would be that.
Okay. All right. I misestimated the requirements, the prerequisites. What's the word I'm looking for? Qualifications for your job. Yeah. By a long shot. Cool. Well, so far, 2 points for Ryan and 0 points for Heather. Ryan, are you ready for my next set of cards?
I am.
Toilet seats.
Mm-hmm.
Witches.
Yes.
Vomiting.
Yeah.
War.
Okay. Going from your least fear to your most.
Mm-hmm.
Witches.
Mm-hmm.
Toilet seats.
Mm-hmm.
Vomiting.
Mm-hmm.
War.
Fucking nailed it. You nailed it.
Yes, I did. I know, Heather. I feel like I just won here since there's only 2 rounds.
Well, I still have a chance to get 4 potential points and not be skunked. I feel like toilet seats and vomiting go hand in hand.
I'm sure they do.
There's a close association there for me.
Right. But I figured you would rather sit on a toilet seat than vomit.
Yes, correct.
So
I dislike vomiting. I really don't like vomiting.
Yeah, neither do I.
I would rather have a migraine headache. I would rather have like a huge congested face or like a slightly sprained ankle, or like there's so many things I would rather experience than vomiting.
Yeah.
Vomiting sucks.
Absolutely.
War is horrible.
Yes.
I wish there were no wars going on anywhere.
Yeah, that would be nice.
My biggest fear is that I'm caught in the middle of a war somehow.
Right.
Well, maybe not my biggest fear, but that would just be like, I can't even imagine. I've lived such a first world existence. You know what I mean? Like, and there are people that have lived through wars, and like, kudos to you if you've done that, but I don't ever want to.
Right.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. I don't think that's wood, but I'm knocking on it. Looks like wood. Oh, here's some. Okay, that's taken care of because I don't believe in the devil or witches, but boy, am I superstitious.
ridiculous. All right, Heather.
All right.
Are you ready for my cards?
Yes.
Okay. Geese,
Mm-hmm.
live food,
Mm-hmm.
werewolves,
Mm-hmm.
and dolls.
Mm-hmm. I feel like werewolves is last because werewolves don't actually exist, and I feel like we're on the same page on that belief.
That is correct.
Now, before I place this one, I just want to say dolls, when possessed, could be quite creepy. So I put that one in third with that in mind, the possession factor in mind with dolls.
Okay. So is it in second or is it in third?
I don't know yet, because you make me wonder if I should change that by the way you asked the question. Listen.
Uh-huh.
Are we not on the same page? Do you not believe that a doll could be possessed?
I mean, I think that it is entirely possible, but I am also very skeptical when it comes to hauntings and possessions.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Wait, hold up. Hold the phone. Wait, stop. We are not discussing this. Stop it.
I was trying to cheat my way into points.
Stop it.
I have already predetermined that as the third place item, and that's where I was going to put it, so I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
You know what I did? You know why I lost this game, Ryan? Because I put what I felt like on both of these, because I felt like we'd be on the same page on them. Now I've got to try to think like you next time, because I put geese second and live food first, and now I'm thinking I should switch that up. You know what?
Okay.
Live food 1, geese 2, dolls 3, werewolves 4. Did I get one right? Do I get 1 point?
You nailed it, Heather. You nailed it. You got
Yes!
4 correct.
Oh, I feel slightly redeemed. I was like, if I get 0 points in this, it's going to make Ryan look really good, because it'll be like Ryan knows Heather really well, and Heather sucks because she doesn't pay attention to anything Ryan ever says. That's what it was going to look like.
I'm still in the lead by 2 points. Bam, Heather. You suck.
All right. I'm going to fill these scores in. 6 for Ryan. 4 for Heather. Ryan, you get the Gloating Rights trophy. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to destroy you,
No, you won't.
next week.
You don't know me.
I might not. Hey, did you win Stuff Happens, or did I win Stuff Happens?
I don't remember. I think you did.
Do you? Because I thought you did. Okay, we won't bring it up in this episode. We'll talk about it later after I determine who actually won.
And
I'll only bring it up if I won, so I can rub it in your face if I start losing this game really badly. All right, it is time for listener responses. Once again, I have solicited these from people. Now listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you've got a story, send it to us. There's so many ways. Email or use our voicemail service. Go to thepoliticsfreepodcast.com. Scroll down. There's links to those services there on our website. There's a link to the website in the show notes. You can DM me on Instagram at The Politics Free Podcast, or comment on one of the various question posts I've put up on Instagram. Whatever you want to do. From Ken.
Dad?
Listener Ken, shut up. It's just a guy named Ken. I did not specifically solicit stories from my parents for this podcast. Here we go. Baseball-sized hailstones on the freeway near the airport at Kempton Park. Kind of drove into it and couldn't go anywhere because cars had pulled into underpasses and stopped. I actually climbed in the back seat and lay down in the footwell, but fortunately no windshield damage, but the car was a little dimpled. Another time I was driving with a friend in some rural area near Howick in South Africa. Howick, our dad is South African. He had a little Triumph Spitfire with a canvas top, which he put up. I love how I texted him for the story, and he texted me back with the name of a specific car, thinking I was going to know what the fuck a Triumph Spitfire was. I love you, Dad. But the hail, golf ball size, tore through it. We found a stack of baled hay and managed to make a little shelter. By the end of the storm, it looked like it had snowed and was wintertime, with all leaves stripped off nearby Wattle Grove and cornfield totally destroyed. So that's exciting. So our dad survived a couple of huge hailstorms, but had shelter. Important during a hailstorm.
That is a tiny car. It's a convertible, it looks like. He said the top was up, right?
That would make sense.
And sorry, I was looking up the Triumph Spitfire. Did he say that the hail tore through the canopy?
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Thank you, Ken, who we are not related to whatsoever, for that story. Appreciate it.
And for this one, struck by lightning one time. By the way...
Ken was struck by lightning?
Ken sounds like a great guy. I shouldn't have asked for texts, because people don't want to do a whole well-narrated story over text. They really don't. Struck by lightning one time. Was standing in the rain watching a storm coming in over the ocean at Durban. You could see the lightning strike the water and sort of boil up. Fascinating. I was leaning against the car when lightning hit it, and the charge arced off and seemingly around the wet skin and into the ground. Probably have been more than a jolt if I hadn't been grounded. So the lightning literally traveled down his...
Oh, because...
I think by wet skin he means wetsuit.
Yeah.
I think he was wearing a wetsuit.
I recall him telling this story at some point.
Next, a story from Carol.
Oh.
Listener Carol.
Oh.
Who we are also not related to at all. And I'm just going to summarize it like this because, Mom, I love you so much. But this is basically the story. A bat swooped into the classroom. Everyone freaked out and ran. One brave student went back and shooed the bat out of the window, and they all came back in. That's the whole bat story,
nice.
As told by Carol. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
And now, from listener Kaylin.
Oh.
We're not related to her. Hardly know her.
You know what, Heath? At this point, I think people are going to be questioning whether or not we're related to Kaylin.
We're not related to Kaylin. She's a friend. A friend got back to us with some eczema thoughts. Now, she doesn't have it, but her son does. And she says, I'm not sure who hates it more, him or me. Many of the eczema spots he had when he was little have gone away permanently, but there are a few I ignored for too long, and now, even though I treat them twice every day when I can, the skin still isn't completely healed, despite months of effort. If I'm not on him, he will literally let it go for months until he has spots, scab, bleeding, and infected.
Oof.
So alas, I carry on, deciding this time I won't let up any day ever until he's literally living elsewhere. And to make sure I don't forget and I don't miss the chance if he has any after-school activities, I have 4 alarms in my phone every night and another every morning. Yeah, it's a lot. Eczema sucks, and his is only a relatively mild case. I feel for those who have it much worse.
Yeah.
That is crappy sounding for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I guess we haven't really heard from anyone that has it super horrible, but I think I'm starting to change my mind because they had that real high up on the misery index for that game. So anyway, if you want to answer some of those old questions, again, as I said, please feel free. But for worst nightmare, what story do we want to hear?
Lost in the Woods stories, paranormal stories.
Yes, paranormal stories. That's what I want so bad.
I think those were the 2 most interesting. Holes stories. Did you fall in a hole?
You want to put hole stories.
Did you make it out alive?
Did you fall into an eternity and never stop falling? Are you texting us from the hole? Are you emailing us from the hole?
Have you been attacked by geese?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of geese, the job site that I was at is full of geese, and I came out to the parking lot at the end of my shift, and my car was targeted and dive bombed by geese, and no other car in the parking lot had geese shit on it except for mine, all over it.
Huh. I've never had them bomb a car. I've never known them to do that.
Yeah, they targeted my car.
They didn't. Oh my God. And a bat chased you. Okay. You know what? Did a goose intentionally be insulted by you and then figure out which car was yours and then crap all over it? I got to hear that story.
It's probably because I accidentally referred to the geese as ducks, and they took offense to that. And then they dive bombed my car directly afterwards.
Oh, Charlie, when she was little, like maybe 4 or 5, I took her to the lake one day and there was geese there and she likes to run and chase them. And I know some people probably have a problem with that. I don't care. I let her chase them because all they do is fly off and they're fine. And so she starts chasing and the goose isn't running away and it's turning around and it's starting to like rear its head back to attack her. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then suddenly I saw all these little baby geese. I was like, oh, no. So I ran. I was like, Charlie, because she is at that time, it was like I couldn't say something like stop or come back. She didn't get it. So she would just ignore. She would keep going. So I had to run and catch up with her and like divert her before the goose attacked the crap out of my small child. Yeah. And I was ready, like I had picked up a rock because I was ready to throw it at this goose. Like, I will protect my child over an animal. I just will. So,
for sure.
But I caught up with her in time and averted disaster before I had to throw a rock at a goose.
Nice.
Or have my daughter attacked by one. So that's my most exciting goose story. What's your most exciting goose story? We want your stories.
Yeah, tell us stories.
Please.
I have a vomiting story.
I mean, sure, we'll end on that. Go ahead.
So when Rebecca and I were dating, one of the first times that I met her parents, I was very, 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 very drunk. Having gone drinking with her and her cousin, we got into some Everclear, which I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's like
vodka?
Practically, like I believe it's 90% alcohol.
Uh-huh.
And we drank a lot of this, and I was probably borderline alcohol poisoning by the time I got to her parents' house, and I was hugging the toilet all night, just vomiting, and just saying, I just want to die.
Why would you do that right before you're about to meet her parents for the very first time? You guys were so young when you first got together. I'm just going to write it off as
it was not the first time that I had met them, but one of the first times that I had met them.
Okay.
And they thought it was hilarious. So I had that going for me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, they were down with it. That's great. Did they come to like the bathroom door with their popcorn and just like...
No, they all hung out in the living room watching TV and, enjoying themselves.
Occasionally laugh at you. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, that is the joy that we bring when we don't talk about politics. You get vomit. That's what happens.
That's what happens.
Anyway, in wrapping up, just want to mention that you should share the podcast. I feel like I said that already. Did I say that before?
You did.
Great. I won't say it again. I will say this. If you are interested in playing this game, it is done by Pressman. And you can go to pressmantoy.com. That's PRESSMANTOY.com and search Your Worst Nightmare. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it'll take you right to this game. They are not a sponsor, by the way, because
we don't have sponsors.
I don't know if I want sponsors. That means that we have to add commercial breaks. And I, as a podcast listener, I hate the commercials. So,
understandable.
Anyway, I don't know what time will bring. All I know is that this is goodbye until we play again.
Until we play again.